All right, well, welcome everybody. I'm excited to talk with you guys tonight about one of the most important skills I think there is in the entire business, because it's such a foundational skill. Everything else is kind of built off of this. I see it as a determining factor of people's long-range success, maybe versus just a little bit of success they have in the beginning. Okay, it's filling the pipeline and the 1,000 names list, okay? And so I want you to think about a couple of mindsets you can have in our business. You can have the mindset that I have endless places to go, okay? Or where am I gonna get my next person? And most people in our business operate in that ladder. Where am I gonna get my next person? Because they don't develop the fundamental habits in this area, right? Okay, so you build a 1,000-person names list, you take the information I'm gonna teach you tonight, you're literally gonna have endless places to go, right, okay? And so you need to have the mindset of, I'm gonna dig my well before I'm thirsty. And that's not normal, right? Most people get themselves into a problem in life and then they try to get out of the problem, right? Okay, and here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start planning to go around potential problems in the future so that we don't encounter them, okay? And so look at your numbers. You wanna hit them. This is an absolute necessity that you get done, okay? The fact is, most people are just not doing the work, okay? I can trace back pretty much 100% of failures in our business to an inadequacy in this one thing. You get this right, the rest of the business is gonna be easy, learnable, and doable. You get this wrong, you're not gonna have the opportunity to do by learning and learn by doing, okay? You're gonna have a limited pool of people and resources that was your own creation. Everybody has the capability to succeed at this, which therefore creates success in other areas, but you gotta do the work, okay? They're trying to dig their well the last 2 days of the month instead of preparing up front. So what does it actually take to win in our business? And here's what I found. I think most people grossly underestimate what it's gonna take to win, okay? Most people, they come from a job, they're self-employed, they're not very good at correctly assessing the amount of action they're gonna have to take to get to where they need to go. And their thought process is wrong. They think like, oh, this is gonna be my month, I'm good, and then they're not doing the work behind it, and they come out at the end of the month, they're surprised by the lack of result, right? Okay, so you think it's gonna take a certain amount of effort A. In reality, it's gonna take 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times that effort. And so we've got to be prepared up front to be able to give that effort, okay? And so this business is really a seed time and harvest business. What I'm going to teach you today is a skill where you're going to plant a lot of seeds, okay? And it's seed, time, and harvest. Most people want to forget the seed planting part. They'd like to skip by the time, and they just like to show up and harvest, right, okay? And that's not how our business works, okay? You can't make 3 appointments a week and expect to do 10 grand in premium. It's just not gonna happen. The math doesn't work that way. And so most of the problems that I see in Primerica today are list problems fundamentally. They originate from a problem with the list, okay? So you don't have people coming to the meeting, that's a list problem. You have not built a big enough list to call enough people, to recruit enough people, to get people coming to the meeting, right? You don't have any people to go see, you're not making any money, right? I can't get anybody to say yes to me. Those fundamentally are all originating out of list problems. So most of the problems in our business are originating from not having enough people on the list. They do a shoddy job at making the master list. They have 50 people, 80 people, 100 people. If you want to win here, you're going to need a whole lot more people on your list than that, because not everybody's going to meet with you, right? Not everybody that meets with you is going to say yes to you. Not everybody who says yes is going to show up and do something, right? So we've got to have an overabundance, way more than we need to pull from in order to get the results that we want, right? So you've got to have 1,000 people on your list, okay? If you don't build a 1,000-person names list, after hearing this, I'm going to believe one thing about you. You're not serious about winning in this business, because this is what you need. This is what you need. I'm going to teach you how to do it. If at that point you know you need to do it, you know how to do it, but you choose not to do it, then all I can assume about you is you'd like to win, but, right? And your butt is getting in the way of your future, okay? So some of you got big butts. You know what I'm talking about. So do you feel like you don't have enough people to go see? That's a list problem. The reality is you haven't taken enough time to make a great list, okay? And so everybody you say, well, I just don't know any people. That's not true. There are people everywhere. You've not taken the time to go through the exercises to make it happen. So one of the keys, one of the prerequisites to building a big list is understanding the difference between a hot market and a warm market. Most people confuse the two, right? They think their warm market is really their hot market. They say things like, I don't know any people. And what they're saying is, I don't have a width of great relationships, and so I think I don't know any people. So hot market is people you could walk in, open their fridge, take stuff out, don't need to ask, right? Okay? Warm market are acquaintances. People that would know your name if somebody brought it up, right? You went to kindergarten with that person. Some of you remember somebody you went to kindergarten with. You could remember. That's warm market. You haven't seen them in a long time, but they know you, you know them. That's a warm market, okay? Most people's list problems start from a confusion between hot and warm market. Okay, so listen, hot market is for learning. Your warm market, the more distant connections are for earning. Okay, does that make sense? We all have finite amounts of hot market, but we all have virtually unlimited. You've been meeting people every day for decades on the planet Earth. Those are warm market. Those are warm market. You know those people better than a stranger, okay? So you're going to build the majority of your business in the warm market, not in the hot market, right? You see people come in our business, they have huge success right off the bat. That's a hot market with a lot of credibility. Where the business is won long term is in the skill set of getting into warm market and perpetuating there. Okay, that's where the business is really built. So you've got to learn how to make a massive list and then how to get your people to do the exact same thing. When your list is too small, you're going to constantly worry about what happens when I run out of people. I don't know where I'm going to get my next client from. I don't know who I'm going to recruit. Okay, when you look at a list of 1,000 people, you're thinking to yourself like, this is going to take me forever to get through this. Both are problems. One's a good problem, right? It's going to take me forever to see these people versus who am I going to see tomorrow? It's your choice. You know the same people. You are the same person. One builds a big list, one doesn't. Two very different thought processes with everything else being the same, right? So it's your mindset, 1,000 versus 50, right? Did I see you already or no? You're going to, listen, I have forgotten more prospects than any of you have ever talked to, I promise. Straight forgotten them, okay? So you think, did I already see you? Have I talked to you about you? Not sure, because so much to do, so many people to see, versus I need you because I'm down to 40 after I call you, right? It's a very different mindset. So you get a choice, right? You get 1,000, you're happy. You get 50, you're sad. It's your choice, pick your face, okay? So listen, your job, when you build a list, your job in this business is simply to get through the list, right? And this is going to help. I'm going to share with you a little bit down the road in our talk today, but you don't really care about what happens on the list. When you've done your job to build a big list, you become emotionally detached from the outcome of the list. You're just going through the list. I want you to join. I hope you become a client, but I got more people to see, right? So next, right? So think about this. Your job is to put names on a list and to do what? Take names off a list. They get off the list one of two ways, okay? They sat with you and bought or joined, or they said, never ever speak to me about this again. It's the only way they get off the list. And so you build the 1,000 list, and your job is to what? Take them off the list. They get off the list by saying yes or saying never contact me again. It's the only way they get off the list. And so you don't really care what number 923 does or doesn't do. You got to get down to 922. Does everybody understand that, right? Okay? So your job is to get literally everybody off the list. I dare you to make 1,000-person names list and cross them off with those criteria and not show up and be a senior vice president in our business making $250,000 a year. I double dog dare you to bring me that list. They're all crossed off. Bought, said never contact me again. You got through 1,000, you're not a senior vice president. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. So here's the problems. That's the problems of having small lists. Here's the problems with having big lists, right? You never run out of people to go see, right? Okay? You're getting everybody off the list. You're going to be working, okay? You never be able to quit our business. That's a problem of having a big list, because having a big list, you always have hope that somebody on that list is going to do something big, okay? Here's the other problem. And notice this is sarcastic, right, okay? You can cherry pick your appointments. When you have 1,000 people on the list, you can start to become a little choosy about who you want to go see because you have more people to see than you have time to see, right? When you're a beggar, you can't be a chooser. When you got 40 people on the list, you drive into Grand Rapids from Detroit, right, to talk to an out-of-market one-pointer missing 3 teeth that told you they don't have the 124, but they're one of 39 people left on the list. It's your only hope, right? Okay, it's your only hope. Okay, so you never run out of people to go see. So your problem here is, how do I see all these people? That's a good problem to have, right? Okay, so listen, we're going to start making the list. The list needs to be name and phone number and qualification. Okay, every person on that list needs to be qualified. Are they married? They have kids. Are they a homeowner? Do they have a job? Are they age appropriate, right? Or mkhja, as we just kidding, right? Okay, right. So first, focus on the names. Here's how you build the list. You focus on the names. You brainstorm. You go through. You just start writing names. Okay, you fill the numbers in second. Don't worry about the numbers first, because if you worry about the numbers, you're going to get sidetracked on the people who don't have numbers. And then you're going to be hunting the numbers, and you're going to stop making the list. So make the list of the names first, fill in the numbers second. Okay? So here's your non-negotiable. If you do not have a 1,000-person names list done now, in 7 days you do. It should not take you any longer than 7 days. If you're serious. If you're a looky-loo, you spend the rest of your life and never make a 1,000-person names list. But it takes 7 days or less to make a 1,000-person names list if you spend an hour on it a day. It's just not that hard, okay? So they don't have to be all 4 or 5 pointers, but you do need to qualify them as you're making it. So you say, well, I don't know about this person. Fine. Qualify them to the best of your knowledge, okay? So stay in your warm market. This is a big deal when you're building the 1,000-person names list. So I'm going to show you 2 concepts. One is the start with a 1,000-person names list of existing contacts. The other is the process by which to refill the names list, okay? One of the big mistakes I see people make early on in our business is they don't do the 1,000-person names list. They just want to build it. The problem is they're building it with a cultivated market, which is not the same as building in the warm market. You've got to stay in your warm market. Folks, everybody you know goes on that list. Well, they wouldn't be interested. Put them on the list. They're too old. Put them on the list. They're too young. Put them on the list. Get them on the list. Just put them there. Stop thinking. Start doing. Okay? Stop thinking. Start doing. Think hard. Think long. Think creatively. Think creatively, okay? Every person goes on this list. Turn on your brain. You know way more people than you think. Everybody knows way more people than they think, okay? So right now, your brain is shut off from those names because you had no purpose for them, right? But now you do, so you need to be thinking, okay? So now you have a way to help them and help yourself, okay? So we got to work the list, and so here's some of the common things that happen when people are looking at that. They're really worried about what other people are going to think about them. And so they don't work through that warm market list. They're worried, what are they going to say? Well, it doesn't matter what they're going to say. Are you helping them? Yes, right? So if they're not receiving that, fantastic. That doesn't mean we don't call them or we're afraid to talk to them, right? Because, listen, if you don't call them, how are they being helped? The answer is they're not. If you don't call them, how are you being helped? You're not. Okay, so that's a lose-lose. You can't be any worse than you are right now by not calling them. There's no possible way for you to be harmed any worse than you're being harmed or they're being harmed by not making the phone call. So you only have positive, right? So don't skip the warm market. That's where the magic happens, okay? If people want to go out there and maul people, run their shopping cart in and say, hey, you look sharp, right, okay? Right, you're like drunk driver with shopping cart at Walmart trying to get names. And that's fantastic, except they don't know you, they don't trust you. You got to have a lot more effort for the exact same result, okay? So listen, some other things about working the list. Quit being emotionally attached to the outcome. And again, that's a small list problem. People tend to be very emotionally attached to the outcome when the list is small. When the list is big, it really doesn't matter. We want them to say yes, but we're not going to get bent out of shape if they don't, okay? So listen, you got to know this. Out of a list of 1,000 people, your 7 to 10 key leaders are on there somewhere. They're on there. I don't know what number they're on, but if you take that seriously, just getting all the way through, you're going to find those people, okay? So listen, I've got lists that I've seen that have RVPs on them, right? And they're just lists in a daily planner. They were just a list. So it doesn't get any easier or simpler than this, right? Put names on the list, take names off the list. All you have to do is work the list. That's it. Your job is to what? Put them on a list, take them off the list. Do what? Put them on the list, take them off the list. Another prerequisite to list making, okay? You got to translate from digital to paper. This is a big pet peeve of mine that people just, well, I've got them on Facebook. Well, they're not on your list, they're on Facebook. Well, I got them in my phone. Well, they're not on your list, they're in your phone. And contacting your phone, somebody on Facebook is not on the list. You got to write them on the list. Why? Okay? Because the more people you write down, the more people you remember. Just the act of doing it jogs your memory to people you otherwise would not have had to think about, because you don't have to think about people that are on your Facebook friends list. You do have to think about people as you're writing them down. How did I meet this person? You remember somebody else you knew in that same situation. Okay, so listen, you've got to put the list down on paper. Okay, why? I can't know if your people are 3-pointers or 5-pointers by their face on a Facebook friend page. I don't know. I'd have to go in and look. When you write them down and qualify them, as a trainer, I can look and see what you're dealing with. I can see who you're dealing with. I can look at where you tend to be playing out of that list. I can know a lot really quickly if you put it down on pen and paper. Okay, so think and ink, and the mind starts working in a way that you're not asking it to work if you leave it there. Okay, so listen. More people are going to make it on the list if you hand write it down. End of story, okay? So let's talk about where to find people to put this on. Let's start with your memory, okay? You know people. You can remember people if you stop and think about people, okay? So use a memory jogger if needed, okay? But literally, start in kindergarten, right? Start in kindergarten. Who did you go to kindergarten with? Who are the 5 people you remember? Who is the teacher, okay? First grade, second grade, third grade. You probably joined Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts. You were on a soccer team. Who is your neighbor? Who is their parents? Who is the person down the street? Right? Every single person. How did you go to church with? Who is the children's pastor? Who is your friend there? Who are their parents? Where did they live? Who were their next door neighbors? Right? And you should be able to fill out 1,000 people like this. Minimum 300, okay? So listen, do you want to win, or you just want to play around with this? If you're serious, you'll start at kindergarten and you'll work through every place you ever spent time. Every job, every church, every school, every sport, and you will put names down. Just names upon names upon names. Okay, you should be able to get 1,000 like that, minimum 300. Next, you should go to your Facebook, okay, and have a minimum of 500 off of that. Many of you have 2,000, 3,000, and 4,000 friends. What do? Take them off Facebook, put them where? On the list. If you have 2,000 friends, how many of them should make their way to the list? 2,000. So when people say, well, Coach, I have 600 on my list. How many Facebook friends do you have? 2,100. Right? You're simply violating the principle of what? Take them off digital and put them on paper. If you did that, you would have 2,100 people on your list. Does that make sense? Right? So therefore, it's not you can't, it's that you won't. Right? There's a big difference. Okay? So you put names on the list. How do you get numbers? You send private messages. Hey, I was looking for your number the other day. Here's mine. Boom. And just start sending them out. We're in a seed time and harvest business, right? Okay, so we're going to plant some seeds and give it some time to come back to us. Where else? How about places you go now? Church, work, sports, leagues, scouts. Okay, who do you know in those things that you're in right now? That you're in right now. Who runs that? Who oversees that committee? Okay, write the names, get the numbers. Everybody following that? So that is the construction of the 1,000-person names list. All who are what? Warm market. These are all people you know in some way, shape, or form. If you're good, you're going to have 2,000 or 3,000 or 4,000 people on that names list to start the deal. Okay? So now we're going to transition into how to keep that list alive and growing. Okay? So listen, one of the biggest skills you're going to need to master is not just building the list, but continuing to perpetuate the list through something I call 5 to Stay Alive, which is basically 5 recurring sources of people that you can set up to continue to generate an ongoing warm market. You have the warm market you have. That's what you built the 1,000-person names list from. Now you're going to cultivate ongoing new sources of warm market, okay? So you master this, you never have to worry about lists because you're always gonna have more people than you need. So 5 renewable sources of people. If you wanna win big in our business, this is a non-negotiable, okay? So you never run out of names. You have more people coming on the list than you ever take off, right? So we built a 1,000-person names list. If we never add to it, if we called 3 people a day in a year, we'll be done, right, okay? If we add 5 a day and call 3 a day, the list gets what? Bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you have your pick of the best people off that list, right? Okay? So you need to have 5 renewable sources of people that you come across on a weekly basis. So let's talk about a couple of different options here, okay? So listen, one of the big ones that I did was networking. Okay, so we were big fans of BNI groups, MSF groups, Chamber of Commerce, different networking opportunities where there are people there, other business people that want to meet you, right? They've already printed their name and phone number out on a card and have brought it to give it to you. I mean, that's about it. Hey, do you have a name and number? Yes, actually I do. It's on a card, I pre-made it. I'd like you to call me. I mean, folks, it doesn't get any easier than that, right? Okay? So church is another one. I don't go to church to get names and numbers, but folks, there's a bunch of in-market people there. The pastor says every day, turn around and say hello to somebody you've never met. They're encouraging you to prospect and build your names list, right? Okay? So families and church, go and introduce yourself, okay? Another one is STEAM, okay? STEAM is where you can take one person and turn them into lots of people, okay? So STEAM stands for, right, salesperson, teacher, enthusiastic, ambitious, money motivated. You could have CHAMP, it's just a different acronym, okay? And I use this all the time. I used it all the time when I was really, really building, okay? So I use this on people that I call centers of influence. People that you don't think, right, the mayor of your town, probably not gonna leave his elected official office to come be a prime minister. Maybe he will, but it's not likely. Maybe after he gets out, but not right now. But he knows everybody, right? And he's a great, credible source. So this is what you do a STEAM with. So I'm gonna actually show you the scripts. You should take pictures of this, okay? So you can master this on your own. Okay, so listen, here's the script. So I call Kim, say Kim owns a restaurant, she's working 80 hours a week, knows a lot of people, so I'm gonna call Kim. I say, Kim, listen, I know you're probably really, really happy where you are. I know you wouldn't be looking for anything extra, but I'm looking to bring on a couple of key people right now for some part-time, full-time positions. And listen, I'd just love to sit down for coffee. Let me buy you coffee and show you what we're doing, who we're looking for, how they'd be compensated. Okay, and so listen, Kim, somebody you know in the future is going to be a great fit, and I'd just love to pick your brain and see if you might be able to direct me in the direction of some local talent. So as far as us getting together, when can I buy you that coffee? And so I'm going in for an ask that's not directly going after her, right? Does that make sense? I'm sidestepping, right? And I'm going in around for her influence. So I've explained to her, I want to show you what we're doing. I want to show you who I'm looking for and how they get paid. So that if you knew some people, you might be able to direct me, to some local talent. And so she feels good that I've thought highly of her. She's not alarmed that I'm coming directly after her, right? And I'm going there to turn one person into 5, 8, 10 people, okay? So I'm going to describe the process when I meet with Kim. So I say, Kim, listen, I'm going to share with you some of what we're doing, how, who I'm looking for, how they're getting paid. And then at the end, Kim, I'm going to ask you some kind of key words that relate to people and some of the skills or ways of being with people that I'm looking for, okay? And so at the end of this, when I say that, right, maybe it's like, who do you know that's really ambitious? I just want you to say the first person that comes to your mind, okay? I don't really want you to think about it. Just blurt it out. Then I'm this person, right? Because if you feel that way, they're going to feel that way. And then, Kim, all I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with them that I did with you. I haven't asked you to buy anything today, right? Haven't asked you to join anything, okay? And I'm just going to show them what we do, who we're looking for, how the compensation would work, and see who they know that might be a good fit. So I promise you, Kim, they're going to feel really, really good about our interaction. It's important that you explain to them exactly what you're going to do with the names. Otherwise, they won't give you the names, right? Okay, but if they felt comfortable and you explain that to them, they're going to feel comfortable giving you the names. Everybody understand that, okay? So I'm going to do the same exact thing with them that I did with you. I haven't tried to recruit you. I haven't asked you for anything, right? Okay, and so what you're doing on Steam is like reverse osmosis. You're taking a high quality individual and you're getting 5 or 6 more high quality individuals, and you're getting from them 5 or 6 more high quality. You do this 5, 6 times, you have hundreds of warm introductions to people who, if they were interested, would be who we're looking for. Everybody understand that? And I'm not going there to recruit, I'm going there for what? More names, and as you'll see in a second, I'll offer it, and the low-hanging fruit would say, this would be something I'd be interested in. It's like taking candy from a baby, but I'm not there looking for the recruit, I'm looking for the names. Does everybody understand that, right? Okay? So here's what you're saying. So when you call, so Kim gives me Andy. So I call Andy, say, Andy, this is Ian Prukner. You don't know me, but we have a mutual friend in Kim. And listen, I was just with Kim the other day. I run a business in the area. I was telling her I was looking for some key people, part-time and full-time. And I asked her who the most ambitious person she knew was, and she said you. She also told me, Andy, that she thought you were really happy where you were, that you wouldn't be interested in any extra money, any extra control of time. But Andy, listen, if you're half as ambitious as she said you were, I'd like to buy you a coffee and show you a little bit about who we are, what we're looking for, how their compensation will work. And I'd just love to pick your brain to see if you might know some people that could be a good fit for us. As far as a coffee, when can I take you there? So I compliment, I tell him the good thing Kim told me about him, right? I explain what I'm looking for. I take it away. Andy, listen, she also told me she didn't think this would be for you. She thought you were really, really happy with what you were earning. She thought you were happy with the quality of life. You wouldn't be looking for any sort of upgrade there. But, right, and the right guy on the phone is thinking what? What do you mean I'm not looking for any extra money? I hate my job, right? And they'll even tell you on these phone calls, like, this might be for me. Andy, that's fantastic. We can definitely talk about it, but what I'm really looking for, and it's almost like a takeaway. So it's like they can't, I'm glad you want to join, but we'll talk about that later. Here's who I'm looking for. Like, I'm talking to you right now, right? Okay? And so that's what's happening, right? Is you're filtering through great people to get more great people to get what? More great people to get what? More great people. You just run that process, and the right ones are like, Ian, I want to do this. Fantastic. We could talk about that at the end, but who do you know, right? And they're like, why isn't this guy trying to recruit me? Like, I want the names, I'll recruit you second. Everybody understand that? Okay? So when you're getting the names, you're asking, right? So Andy, listen, who pops in your mind is the best salesperson you know? Not pushy, not aggressive, just could sell anything to anybody. Great person. Who do you know? Head down, pen on the paper, and wait. My Uncle Bob. Bob, fantastic. And Uncle Bob's around, he lives in this area, right? Okay, great. What's Bob's phone number? Head down, pen on the paper. It's 248. Oh, fantastic. Great. Okay, next one, right? Listen, head down, pen on the paper. Why? Now it's a waiting game. Whoever talks first loses. If you put in another word, you're not getting that name. Okay? You wait, they'll give you the name 100% of the time. They're going to give you the name. Okay? So then, after I get the names, I say, Andy, listen, here's what I need you to do. I need you to just send a text really quickly. I'm actually going to send it to you, and you can just forward it. So you don't even need to write it. And that way they know that I'm going to be calling, right? So here's what it needs to say. So listen, Steve, do me a favor. Send these guys this text, right? Okay, so I send this to Andy, letting them know that I'm going to be calling them, take 15 minutes to meet with me, okay, that they may see some value, okay? So then I'm going to send them the text. Hey, listen, my buddy Ian's going to call you. I think you should talk to him. I think, you might have some interest. If not, you'll know some people. Boom. So that way they're warmed up for me, okay? So here's the close. So I've gotten the names. They've sent the text to introduce me, okay? And I'm going to say this. I say, Andy, listen, I'd be remiss to not at least ask you this, okay? But on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I would hate helping people. I also hate making extra money. 10 being I love helping people. If I could make $1,000 or $2,000 a month on the side with this, maybe more, I'd be interested in knowing a little more, maybe getting a little more information. Where do you guys put yourself on that scale of 1 to 10 based on what we've talked about? It's the exact same clothes that you use where? On the kitchen table. for the recruit, right? And what am I doing? I'm just taking low-hanging fruit. I'm giving them an opportunity to be interested. They're interested or not interested, I can't control that. I'm giving the interested ones an opportunity to say, I'm interested, and then I'll recruit them, right? Does that make sense? Okay? So here's how this works, right? You take one guy who becomes 5 guys. You take 5 guys who become 25 guys. You take 25 guys who become 125. You take 125, they become 625. You do this 7, 8 times, you're at 1,000 people that are warmly referred, that are predisposed to being good at our business if they were interested. This is easy, right? I mean, isn't that better than running your shopping cart into people at Walmart? Absolutely, right? Okay. So you find good people who send you their best people, and you take those best people who send you even better people, and you work your way up the food chain in the quality of human being you're getting. Most people recruit down. STEAM allows you to recruit up. Does that make sense? Okay. So this adds 10 to 15 highly qualified people to your list all the time. All the time. You did this 3 times a week, got 5 names. That's 15 names a week coming in just this way. Okay? What about client referrals? This is one of your 5 to stay alive. Now listen, you don't need to do all these. All is great, but you need 5. I don't care what your 5 are, you need 5. So what about client referrals? Listen, they just bought something from you. They said, I will give you the money. This is good enough for my family. If it's good enough for their family, it should be good enough for the families of the people they know and care about. Right? So you should have the referral sheets. Listen, your referrals will go down in proportion to the amount of times you use a professional pre-made sheet. No sheet, no referrals. Hey, who do you know? I don't know, I'll get back to you. Hey, Kia, listen. I'm going to ask you for a couple of names. Here's what I want you to think about. Who do you love and care about a ton, Kia? Just a ton right now. That it would devastate you to see something happen to their family if, God forbid, they were to have one of their breadwinners pass away. It would just be terrible for you to see people struggling going through that. Who are those people? Head down, pen on the paper, right? Fill it out. If there's a sheet, they give you names. No sheet, no names. Okay, but listen, if you did 2 sales a week like we teach you, and each of those 2 sales gave 5 to 10 names, how many names is that a week? 10 to 20. Qualified in market through a warm introduction. Folks, that's easier than running your shopping cart into people at Walmart, right? Okay, fantastic. So out and about, okay? So listen, you're looking for people who could be potential clients, but you're not prospecting them as a client. Let me say that again. You're looking for people who could be potential clients, but you're not prospecting them as a client. You're prospecting them for the opportunity, but you know when they get the opportunity, they're also going to buy. Okay, so there's a million people out there, right? You have your pick of who you prospect. Okay, so listen, kids' basketball games, parent-teacher conferences, places where married people are, okay, in line waiting to buy tickets. Okay, how do you do this? You strike up conversations with them, talking to them about their own favorite subject, which is who? Themselves, right? You do that through form, family, occupation, recreation, motivation. You're just talking to them, right? Okay, and you're like, Alex, listen, man, tell me about your family. You got kids here at the game? Oh, awesome, great. What grade are they in? Fantastic. How many kids do you have? Oh, awesome. Are you married? Great. Hey, what do you do in life? Out of curiosity. Oh man, that's fantastic. What do you love about what you do? What do you dislike about what you do? Okay, great. And all you're doing is talking to them about them and getting some arsenal with which to use later to recruit them, right? You know he doesn't like his job. You know he doesn't like this, right? You're not like, oh man, listen, let me tell you about this great opportunity, and you're bamming him in the nacho line, right? You're listening, right? You're listening and accumulating data to go back to him with, right? You become a most interesting conversationalist when all your conversation revolves around him, right? Okay? So, hey, what did it take to get great at what you do? Okay? So, what's your game plan? You planning on doing that forever? What do you see for the next 5, 10 years? What's your trajectory like there? Oh man, that's awesome. I know you can do that, right? And when you call them later, they're like, man, I like this guy. Why do they like him? Not because they like me, because I talked about their favorite subject, right? Okay? So sooner or later, if they're a human being, okay, they're going to ask you what you do. They're going to ask you, well, what do you do? right? And you've got to have a tagline there. Man, I help people fire their bosses. I help people make more money. Well, how do you do that? Man, listen, you know what? I'd love to chat with you sometime. I try not to mix business and personal, but maybe we'll trade info. So anyways, tell me more again about that fishing trip you were taking. And right back to them. People want what they can't have. You become attractive to them because simply by not trying to attract them, right? You're mysterious. You're elusive a little bit. They want to know more and can't. You're interesting and intriguing to them, okay? So you got to have a tagline that they're going to want to know more, and then you shut that down and turn it right back over to them, right? Okay? At the end, before you leave, here's how you get the number, right? Say, hey, Steve, listen, you got a phone, right? Okay? What's your phone number? I'm going to send you a text really quick with my contact info so you have it. They all give you the number. You text them, hey, Ian Prukner, it's really nice to meet you. Boom. When you walk away, what do you do with that? You open that text and you screenshot it. And there you have their name and their phone number in a picture. Does that stay in your photo roll? No. Why? Because you're not going to scroll through the 8,000 other pictures and see Steve's name 6 months from now and say, where did I get this again? What do you do when you go home that night? You take them all and you put them where? On your list. Okay? I star the ones I'm most interested in. Okay? So that's how you get the name and number. Okay? So now what if you're out and about for recruiting? So these people are out of market. Okay? This is somebody working at McDonald's, somebody working at the Tim Hortons. Okay? Say, hey, listen. Out of curiosity, you planning on doing this forever? Or are you keeping your options open? Quiet like that. Secretive. Like you don't want anybody else to overhear. Like they're special. Hey, you planning on doing this forever? Or are you keeping your options open? They always say, I'm keeping my options open. Why? Listen, I'm looking for some people right now. Do me a favor, write down your name and number. If I'm not too busy, I'll call you sometime in the next week, okay? They're all like, looking for the boss, right? Okay, writing down the name and number. It's easy. They're like, what is it? It's not this. If they ask any more, move along. No, but what is it? Hey, never mind. And just shut it down and move along. And they'll be thinking about you at bed, like, what was up with that guy, right? What was up with that lady? Okay, listen, you got to constantly be adding to the list. The list is alive. It's a moving, breathing organism, right? Okay? So you got to be putting people on the list and what? Taking them off the list. If you get into the habit of this, if you got 3 names a day through your 5 to stay alive, right? That's 1,000 plus names a year. In a decade, that's 10,000 people. How are you going to talk to 10,000 people and not find somebody who says, yeah, this sounds like a good idea, I'll give it a shot, right? I mean, it's never going to happen. Okay, so listen, now you don't have to go home and tell your spouse that I'm not going to get the promotion again because you don't have anything set up there. When a contest gets announced, an incentive, right? Some of you get caught with your pants down repeatedly, right? It's like you need a belt or something to hold it up. Because we announce this man's last shot for Miami. You're like, I want to win, but I got 12 people on the list. Because I haven't been doing what I need to do. When you have the opportunity to take advantage of a promotion, an incentive, something, you've got a big pile of people. Now you don't need to go home. You're like, I guess we're not going to get that one. Should have prepared. Should have dug our well before we were thirsty, right? Okay, so listen. Knowing why and how to do it is half the battle. Now all you need to go and do is what? Do it. Now you got to put the names off of social media onto the list. Build up that list, okay? So listen. Here's the action plan. Give yourself no more than 1 week. No more than 1 week to make the list. Okay? Why? Because you don't need any longer than that, and here's how human beings work. They expand the same workload into the allocated time for that work. So you give somebody 3 days or 3 weeks, they will get the exact same amount of people or work done. If it's not putting people on a list, whatever it is they do, they're going to do that amount of work in whatever time you give them. Give them 3 days, 3 hours, 3 weeks. By and large, you're going to do that. So you give yourself no more than what? 7 days. So you can come back next week with an operational what? 1,000-person names list, okay? Then your job is to do what? Take them off the list. You built the list. Now your job is to get them off the list by what? Making phone calls, getting in front of them, and one of 2 things is going to happen. They're going to buy or join, or they're going to say, never call me again. That's how they get off the list, okay? You add the new people to the list every single day through 5 to stay alive. You make it a habit, then you don't need to think about it. It's just something you do. So you put them on the list, take them off the list, okay? Interested or not, you're moving on. That's your job, okay? So let me talk about a sub-list. This I call the hunt list, people you want. So maybe you met with them, they didn't join right now, okay? But you want them. You know this person would be fantastic in our business. Now you make a hit list, right? I have a hit list that I keep front of mind. I know this person's worth 100 yahoos that I got to meet out on the street, okay? So make a separate list. This is your perpetual follow-up list, okay? So this is the short list of people that you keep reaching out to until you get them on the timing being right for them, okay? A lot of our business is about catching the right person at the right time. And so a lot of people lose out. I recruit their people that they should have had, right? But they followed up with them once, wasn't the right time. But 2 years later, I catch them, they just got downsized, had a rough day at work. Something happened, and all of a sudden they're ready when they weren't before. Okay, so you gotta have a follow-up list in addition to the main list, okay? 50 to 60 people you want on your team, okay? These people should be saved in your phone. Why? For easy access. You got 10 minutes, you're sitting down at the car dealership, waiting for, there's nobody there to talk to, you're in a waiting room alone. You go and you open it up, and you just start scrolling through and looking at the names. And you're just making contact. Hey, Jeremy, just thinking about you, man. I hope you're good. How's life? Hey, man, you're such a stud. I can't wait till we work together one day. Whatever it is, right? You're just putting these touches on. And folks, most of the time, what do you get? Nothing. But every once in a while, what do you see? The bubbles. The bubbles start. You caught them at the right time, and all of a sudden, you got them because you followed up with them, right? Okay? So don't stalk them. It's big. Some of you are going to be on America's Most Wanted, right? You don't stalk them. What do? You just stay in touch every so often. How do you know when the last time you talked to them was? Okay? Well, guess what? On your text messaging, you can see like, hey, I sent this person a message in April. Fantastic. It's August, it's April, plenty, fine, great. I wouldn't follow up with them more than once a month. And if it's built right and you got a 1,000-person names list, you don't really have time to follow up with them more than once a month. Right? Everybody good with that? Okay? So stay in touch. Two things will happen. One is you're going to get better, your business is going to grow, and their life without a residual income machine like this is going to be plateaued or negative. And so as you grow and they stay the same, that gap eventually becomes so big that eventually they'll listen. Okay? Everybody understand that? So here, remember a couple of things here as we do this. You're going to have to go through a lot of the wrong people to find the right ones. And that depresses a bunch of people. Like, oh, I talked to all these people. I don't have any winners yet. Folks, you're one loser closer to a winner. That's how I always looked at it, right? Okay, you are my one. I'm running out of people that ain't my one till I find the one that is, right? So you're going to have to go through a lot of the wrong people to find the right people. That's okay. You find quality through and only through quantity. One of the biggest mistakes people make is, I'm only going to focus on great people. The problem with great people is they're busy. They're busy, and you got to catch them at the right time. And I don't got time to wait for you to be in the right time. I need to find some more people till you're ready, right? Does that make sense? So I'm going to run through quantity to find the quality, okay? You find quality through having massive lists of people, okay? So you got to set yourself up to have 3 to 5 appointments a day. You have 3 to 5 appointments a day, half cancel, half close. You're going to build a great business here, okay? So here's the deal. What happens if you keep this up? Here's the result. You keep this up, you build your list, you add your 5 to stay alive, you're going to have a massive list of people to go see. You're going to be able to get really choosy about who you're seeing, where you're going. You have people coming to you for recruiting appointments, so you don't got to drive all over. Why? Because you're not worried. You got a ton of people, okay? You can always keep adding new recruits to your base shop because you've always got people personally that you can go see. Right? If you want to promote RVPs, you got to build a recruiting base shop, and that starts with you. So it becomes a game, right? It becomes a game. Just how many people can I get off my list today? You don't really care about the outcome. You know the outcome is coming. You focus on how many people can I put on, how many people can I take off. It becomes easy. This business is really, really easy. Most people just won't do the work. What do? We put names what? On a list. We do what? Take names off the list. We put names on the list. We take names off the list. You do it really fast, you do it slow, you do it really big, you do it small. Okay, you can do it wearing a black shirt, a gray shirt, a blue shirt. How many people can I put on the list today wearing blue? You can get in all these fun games where all of a sudden it's not work anymore. It's just following a process. How simple of a business. What do, Glenn? We put names on the list. We take names off the list. Folks, very, very, very simple. Don't worry about the outcome. Keep moving. This is the number one thing that stops people dead in their tracks in our business. Is they get concerned about I should be recruiting more people. Don't worry about it. I should be closing more people. Don't worry about it. Listen, you run this part by default through what? Trial and error, because you've got a big list. You're gonna get better. Listen, to be great at something, first you need to be good. To be good, first you need to be bad. To be bad, first you need to be awful. To be awful, you need to start. Right, okay, does that make sense? You're so worried about what am I going to say? It doesn't matter. Take a great trainer with you. Go out there, botch a few. If you got 3,000 people on your names list, you can afford to suck for 10 of them. Right? You got 40, that's 25% of your inventory. Right? And what happens when you have a small list is you don't do. Because you're so afraid it needs to be great that you don't go through the numbers to actually get great. Do you see that self-defeating circle, right? Okay, it's the catch-22. Don't worry about the outcome, just keep moving and you'll be all right. Okay, so enough right things will happen if you just keep doing this, okay? It's playing in traffic. Listen, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and the right person is somewhere in that list. They're on there right now. You just got to make it, okay? So think about this. If you start this right, the list of 1,000 people, soon you're going to have a bunch of people on your team because you're running through the list doing what? Taking them off. You recruit people, you teach them to do the same thing. Guys, listen, you got 5 guys on your team with 2,000 people on their list apiece. That's a small city. You and your 5 guys are going to talk to. How are you not going to recruit a few winners like that? Okay, and the answer is you are, okay? So quality will keep on automatically rising to the top because you find people that are willing to do the work, okay? So you duplicate this, you're going to have a big hierarchy. Okay, you don't do this, guess what your people aren't going to do? This. Guess what their people aren't going to do? This. And so you build a team of people destined to fail because they don't have this fundamental down right. Okay, you do this right, you inspect what you expect with your people, and you make sure that they know what to do and they're doing it, they're going to win. They teach that to their people, and you build a hierarchy that duplicates success. You don't do this, you build a hierarchy that duplicates failure. It's your choice, and it's on this one simple thing. This little thing makes you or breaks you, which is exactly why most people don't win with this, because they think it's a little thing. They think that they can get it next week, next month. I'm not in a big hurry. I'm recruiting okay off my list. Yeah, you're in a hot market. Where are you going to build your fortune? In the war market, off of systems and processes, right? Okay, so it becomes easy. Most people just aren't willing to do the work. Don't be one of those people that aren't willing to do the work, contemplating, overcomplicating, overthinking. Stop thinking what? Just do. When you have a big list, you just do. You learn as you go. You course correct. You can't steer a parked car, right? Well, this puts you on the freeway to success, and then you can make course corrections as you go. So listen, man, don't be worried about what people think. Disconnect emotionally from the outcome. Think big. Decide to have the biggest list. Listen, next week when you come back here, there's only going to be one number one. There's only going to be one number one in list size. Ironically, probably a year from now, that person will be the biggest out of anybody sitting in here. Why? Big list, big opportunities, big recruiting, big opportunity to duplicate the big list into other people. So listen, go out, let's win. Next week, we're going to be back for week 4, time management. We'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks, everybody. I got a drink.